Hello, this is my first time going live, so I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm using a program that I have no idea what I'm doing because I want to go live on my business page and my regular page. So, from what I can see right now, there are not any viewers, which is fine right now because I'm nervous. I've never went live before, so this is my first time. But it is Testimony Tuesdays. So I wanted to start with my own testimony. So I couldn't really think about what I actually wanted to talk about at first. I could have went a lot of different ways, but okay, it's somebody on here, but I can't see because I'm using this program. I cannot see who it is, but hello. It's Testimony Tuesday, so I'm going to be sharing my testimony. Um, since it is live and is streaming on two different pages, it's probably some people who don't know who I am, so I'm going to do a quick introduction. My name is Nicole C. Lofton. I am a certified biblical life coach, an author, a blogger, a podcast coach. A podcast host. And my podcast and my blog is called Purpose Whispers. And basically, I talk about pain and purpose, the connection between the things that you go through. Um, the things that you go through um, here on earth and how it's tied to you spiritually. So I'm going to be sharing my testimony of domestic violence. And so here we go. So basically, back in, I'm getting old. Back in 2007, I want to say, like 2007, 2008-ish. I was on Facebook and I had commented on one of my friends' um, Facebook post. And then she reached out to me and she said, "Hey, did you see what one of my friends said?" And it happened to be some guy. And um, he ended up inboxing me. And we were really hitting it off. We were talking on the phone. I will admit that we got into a relationship kind of fast, but hey, we were kind of young. So it is what it is. So basically, I'm not going to be long winded with this because I don't really know how I want to share the story because I don't want to. I don't know. It's layered, my testimony, and I'm not trying to offend anybody who may be close to this person or anything. And then, out of respect, I do have a child with this person. So basically, my story is of emotional abuse. I know that usually when you hear about domestic violence, it's usually um, physical. Everybody talks about the physical aspect of it, and people believe that if you're not being physically hurt, then it's not domestic violence. And that is totally not true because domestic violence comes in many different forms. It could be financial, psychological, it could be spiritual. There's elder abuse, there's child abuse, there's all kind of abuse. And so mine is emotional abuse. And emotional abuse carries a lot of scars, a lot of it can be damaging. It's stuff that I'm still healing from. Now I will say that I had, some little broken pieces before I met him. So I won't, sometimes we don't want to admit that we probably were a little broken before we got into the situation that we got into. But nonetheless, after that, I was shattered. I kind of lost myself in the situation. I was with a person who was very controlling. He would tell me, how ugly I was, But then he would also, try to, butter me up or give me gifts to apologize and, oh, I didn't mean it. He would criticize, the way I looked, the way I wore my hair, the way I dressed. Everything was always an issue. Then he had a problem with the people that I talked to. He would say like, "Oh, you're just like Aaliyah. Everybody loves you. I don't like that." He had like real anger issues, but like I said, he never hit me, but he did have like anger issues. It would get to the point where, we would, argue, where he would be in my face, where I would sleep with a knife just in case, something happened, or, he tried something, because, I was gonna defend myself because I'm small. So, either way it goes, I was gonna defend myself, so, and you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to be in a situation like that. You shouldn't have to be in a relationship like that. But, this is where I was, I ended up getting pregnant by him. And, some things I'm gonna skip over. But yeah, I ended up getting pregnant by him, and I decided I was gonna keep the baby, no matter what, because I did have an abortion when I was in high school, and so I didn't want that no more. Like, I didn't want to have an abortion because I didn't have control over the first one. So, I was gonna raise my child, whether I ended up being, with him or without him. So, yeah, it was hard being pregnant in that situation, because I was I had just entered grad school. Like, I met him like a couple of weeks before I was leaving to go to grad school at SIUC, in Carbondale, and I was going to grad school to be a counselor. So, I was 5 hours away from everybody, all my family and friends, and so he ended up coming to stay with me, and it was very hard. It was a lot of just it was very toxic. That's all it was a very toxic situation. And then it got to the point where I kind of stopped going to school for a while. Nobody knew, but I did, because, he had a problem with me wanting to be a counselor. And he was saying, you're probably going to be sleeping with your clients and this, that, and the other. He used to call me all kind of um, bad words. I never been live before, so I don't know what you could say, but he used to call me all kind of bees and hoes, and just just the nastiest things that you can think of. He just used to say to me, and just try to control everything that I do. And um eventually he ended up leaving from Carbondale to go back home, but it was okay, because then I started, going back to school, and but it did mess with me a little bit, because everything was changing. Like, I used to love like poetry and music, but he didn't like that stuff. He didn't understand it. So I kind of, was losing myself a little bit, and I thought that that was going to be the end of the relationship, and it should have been the end of the relationship, but it wasn't. After he left, we still continued. Like I said, I was pregnant, I was kind of vulnerable, and I just felt like whoever I have a child with, I was going to stay with that person. But it didn't happen like that, so in my mind, I kind of knew that eventually I was going to have to leave this relationship. I knew that, I would have to prepare myself to probably be a single mom, because it was just too toxic. It wasn't working out. Like, I couldn't enjoy myself. Like, I'm really into sports and everything. And he was into sports too, but he didn't like the fact that I liked a different team that he liked. He wanted me to like the same team. He would say that I think certain basketball players like Kobe Bryant were better than him. It was just like really, it was really crazy. It was a really difficult situation to be in. I remember he used to threaten to kill me. If I left him or just in general, if he got mad, just threatened to kill me. He tried to kick me out of a moving car before because he got mad at me because he liked Chipotle and I didn't. Like, a lot of the stuff I know, it sounds like cringy or it sounds like, oh my goodness, like unbelievable. But my story compared to like a lot of other people's stories out here, it's probably mild because people really go through a lot of things when it comes to domestic violence. But I did want to shed a light on emotional abuse because it's really serious. Um, it needs to be talked about more and people need to share their story more so that we can stop believing that you're only being abused if it's physical because it's not true. So eventually, I'm trying to fast forward, plus my lunch break is almost over, but eventually I did leave that relationship. Um, my breaking point probably, I was already getting to a breaking point, but my breaking point probably was when we went to Great America with one of my friends, Facebook friends, and her husband at the time. Um, so I won't name names, but if they see this video, then they know. So we had went to Great America, and they wanted to like go to like the water park section or whatever, and I couldn't go with them because it was just the four of us and he wanted me to be with him and he was making all kind of comments about them and just like trying to threaten me if I win and this and that. So it was a very uncomfortable experience, but um I don't remember. I just know the next day, like he was calling me or something. I wasn't answering the phone for whatever reason. And he started to get mad. So he started leaving me all kind of voicemails talking about how I was the ugliest girl at Great America. I was the ugliest girl in the world. And so then that was like my breaking point because I was already getting to a breaking point where I knew this wasn't for me. I couldn't do this any longer. So I finally left the relationship because I realized that if somebody really cared about me and they really loved me, then they wouldn't be saying all that hurtful stuff to me. They wouldn't be doing hurtful stuff to me or trying to control me. And, I needed to love myself better, so I couldn't stay in a relationship no more, no matter if we had a child together. But it didn't stop after we had a child together. He was still threatening me. He was still purposely not pick up our son because he wanted to try to make sure that I'm not going nowhere or I'm not dating anybody new, which I still did. But you know, did I go back? I went back for a short time, but then it was over. I can't really remember the timeline, but I definitely believe that the Great American incident was over. And then he tried to pretend like, oh, he was going to church and getting his life together. He tried many things um, to get me back, and it just wasn't for me. So let's see. Yeah, so basically, of course, I'm a single mom, and that's a short version because I left out a lot of stuff on purpose. But I left out a lot of stuff. Um, but I did have to, I wasn't really seeing him for a while. I probably haven't really seen him. I would see him off and on, like when it comes to my son, but not a lot because he's not really around. If he sees this video, it's the truth. So I don't have anything to hide. But or if anybody else sees this video, so but you know, like a couple of years ago, maybe like three, I had finally put him on child support because I had never put him on child support. I didn't want to. I really just hope that he would, get himself together as far as being a father, because I don't want to be with him. But I feel like, fathers are important to children, even if we didn't have a good relationship. But, I did face him head on at, child support, and I ended up having to tell some of the story then because he was still threatening me about the child support. And so, um, but I had a support system. I had, my parents with me, my boyfriend was there. And, you know, afterwards, even though it worked in my favor, but just having to stand up for myself because the judge, kind of prejudged everything. It was looking at him like, oh, he looks like such a nice guy. But then once everything unfolded, we saw like the real truth or whatever. So, after that, I cried because it was so much. So it's taken me a while to heal, not just from that, but things from my childhood too, just a lot of things. But as far as relationships go, to believe in myself and, know that I'm worthy and know that I'm beautiful and things like that. It's been a lot. It's been challenging. It's really been challenging. It's, you know, of course, I'm sure I'm going to have more of the testimony to share because it's layered and it goes into other elements and aspects of my life. So because it's Testimony Tuesday and I'm going through my healing process, I just wanted to put this out there. I know not a lot of people know it in detail. Some people just know, like, oh, she's a domestic violence advocate and and she talks about it and she shares other people's stories, but that's what it is. I'm healing. I did make a song because music is one way, poetry is another way, how I heal. So I did make a song about it called Damage Control. I shared it a couple of years ago on Facebook. But it was really freeing to just get it out. And today it's freeing. It's still a little nerve wracking, but it's freeing to get it out. So, I just want to say to anybody who is in an unhealthy relationship, just know your worth and know that you don't deserve that. I can't tell you when to get out or nothing. That's not my business. That's not even my place because I know it's not easy. It is so not easy to get out of a situation like that. It's so many elements and people fear for their life. They fear for their kids' lives. And so, just know your worth, whether you're a man, because men experience domestic violence too, a man or a woman, know your worth and know that you don't deserve that. You deserve to be with somebody who truly cares about you, who truly loves you, who's not going to put you down, try to control you, and threaten your life. You just don't deserve any of that. So if you need to reach out to me, you can, send me a message. You can email me at info@purposewhispers.com, or you just go to purposewhispers.com and go to the contact page. If you ever need prayer, just if you have questions about my experience, why did you stay, this, that, and the other, I'll elaborate a little more. I think I kind of shed light on it, but you know, that concludes my Testimony Tuesday, and hopefully I can get some other people up here in the future to share their testimonies because I know a lot of people that have the testimonies, but I want people to, want to share their testimony. So I'm not gonna call anybody out, but pretty soon I'll be reaching out to some people. We overcome by our testimonies, we heal, and we allow others to heal. So thank you for listening. I don't even know how to cut this thing off. Oh.